You're watching Cambridge United TV.
The Vice President's Club is the proud sponsor of At Training. For more information, visit www.cufcvpclub.co.uk.
Manager during training is overseeing all of the training with the coaches putting the training on at the start of the week with John Schofield and Paul Carden. Paul's obviously a player coach, so he gets involved in the setup of what we're going to do, but Paul's normally involved in doing it himself. John tends to take most of the stuff at the start of the week.
We sit down on a Sunday Monday, discuss as game plan for the forthcoming game, and myself, Paul Carden and the manager speak about how we're going to attack and defend against the opposition, and my role is really to put them ideas into a training, learning process that we can instigate to the players over the course of the week.
Once we come into the game situation, stroke Thursday, Friday for a Saturday game or a Monday for a Tuesday game, that's when I come into the fore and start talking a game plan and how we're going to set up to win the game and the roles of the individual players within that structure. Monday is still a semi-warm down day. The players would come in. It would be still getting the stiffness out of the leg from the Saturday game, so it wouldn't be over intense on a Monday.
Tuesday's usually a work day, so we'll all do that together, whether you've played or not played. All the lads will do that. Then after, usually we will do a group that's not played or a development group. Wednesday predominantly, that's a day off whenever we can.
And then Thursday would be, really start to sharpen up for the weekend and start to work within your training structures, even the small-sided games or the keep balls for the Saturday, or the team we're playing on Saturday. And then Friday would be a total day to work towards the Saturday game in terms of set plays, in terms of individual roles within the team. And we always name a team on a Friday unless we've got an injury, but 9 times out of 10 the team would be named and we would work on how they're going to play on a Saturday. It's not very often on a Monday that you've got your team available for Tuesday. If you played on a Saturday, you've normally got a knock or two, but if you've got your team out there, obviously it would be a very light day, but they would have to. That's where management comes into it. That you'd have to make sure they're not doing enough on there or too long on their feet, but doing enough to know what they're going to do on a Tuesday. So it would be match related. Definitely talk about how the opposition we're playing against, and maybe put on a. If you see sometimes on a Saturday you see something that ain't quite right, either in the attack or defence, you might put on a defensive practice or put on attacking practice, whatever we don't feel work right. And also there might be a little bit tinkering with the formation for knowing the team we play on a Tuesday. But what you got to realise, sometimes I think managers and coaches coach and manage for their own sake, but what they've got to tend to forget about is the players, and the players are the most important thing, and you don't want them on their feet for too long on a Monday.
I don't think it's about how many hours they train. I think it's what level or intensity they're training. On a Tuesday, for instance, I can tell you that we have a physical on a Tuesday, a maintenance session as we call it, and from warm up, getting back in the dressing room, it can be an hour and 10 minutes. But I can assure you in that hour and 10 minutes that they've done perhaps twice as much high intensity work as what they would do in a match. In a match, I think on average we're talking between 15 to 18 minutes high intensity work that they will do in that 90 minutes. So we try and obviously get above that in our training session.
I mean, you can see them lifting some poundage today, and I think some people will be surprised to see the poundage that they're lifting. But without the strength within your body nowadays, I don't think that the body will survive. So for us, twice a week weights is as big as a component as us doing tactical stuff or technical stuff. The weights, as I say, is there for all to see. And if you go to any top club now, the weights room would be an important room, and every club will do it once or at least twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. And especially a lot of the clubs now are getting into their lads as young as 14 and getting their techniques honed in early. But without it, as I say, you're dead in the water, in my opinion, without your weight training.
Okay, so my role at the club is as a strength and conditioning coach. So on a weekly basis, we'll come in and we'll run a weights-based session. The weights that we do are based around increasing mobility, increasing strength levels, increasing power levels, and as a result of all three of them, decreasing the risk of injury that the players are carrying. Okay, so this morning's session kicked off with what we term a dynamic warm-up. So that dynamic warm-up concentrates on all the little areas of the body that generally are going to be quite tight and stiff. So we went through a series of different exercises to mobilise the hip joints, a series of different exercises to mobilise the upper body joints. Lem movements or lem exercises are all based around consistent movement. So we're not doing static stretches or anything like that. They're all consistent movements. So as a result of that, we get a gradual increase in their body temperature. That warm-up will usually take around 10 minutes. So by the end of that 10 minutes, they should be feeling that their body temperature has increased. Their muscle temperatures will definitely have increased. And they'll be moving a lot more freely than when they started that. Out of the back of that, we then move into, we generally use 4 different strength training exercises per session. Okay. The first exercise will be what we call an explosive movement exercise. So it would involve generating a certain amount of force as quickly as possible. So for example, we do like a jump squat exercise where we'll put a small load on them and we'll get them jumping as high as possible whilst holding together correct technique. The next exercise will generally be something along the lines of what we'd call a squat movement. The next 2 exercises will then generally be maybe a hamstring based exercise, so something that we call a semi-straight leg deadlift, which is all about maintaining upper body control but whilst putting hamstrings under a stretch and a load. Okay, that's ideal for sort of sprinters or people that are carrying hamstring injuries. And then the 4th exercise would be something more based around the upper body or around a core stability hold.
If we're looking at a physical, as I've said to you before, we try and incorporate the ball as much as possible. We tend to work in pairs or in threes, and we tend to work for 30 seconds, so it'll be full intensity for 30 seconds, and then they'll get so if there's 3 of us working, we'll be numbered off 1, 2 and 3. One will work for 30 seconds doing whatever it might be at, to mannequins, little checks, dribbling a ball, change of pace, close it, working like that for 30 seconds. The other 2, they'll either be waiting to work or they'll be keeping the ball up, so they'll be juggling the ball. As soon as the 30 seconds elapses, number 2 will go, number 1 will come back and join in that, so it's an active recovery. There is tests that we do as well. We do speed agility tests, which is, go through a timing gate, different runs, finish at a timing gate, and then again that's backed up with strength and development when we're doing squats and lunges. Them times over the course of the season will improve.
Set plays, yeah, I mean, I think we've got about 8 or 9 for this year. I think we've let about 4 or 5 against, so we're in the plus zone with that. I think that's important, and we work on different ones. We've got a list of about 16, but what we tend to do is don't use 2 in each week following each other, because what you do, a team will come and watch you at this level the week before you play them, so they would see your set play. So we don't use the same set plays week following each other. If we're going to do a different set play, we would do it once a fortnight with a gap, so teams don't tend to have the money to come and watch you twice, so then they won't pick up on your set plays.
Then as regards as technical work or as football work, a lot of it is based on small-sided games. So it for instance would be if we feel that we need to get the ball forward earlier, we'll work on let's say a 9-a-side game, and we'll have 2 pin men from each team, so they'll go at either side of the goal that we're attacking, so we've always got a long pass. So yes, we are trying to play at football, but that pass is always on. Now what you find is if the player sloppy pass, the keeper will come out and intercept it, and all the lads, oh, the keeper can't do that. Well, the keeper actually can do that because the pass is not on, or it's got to be better quality. So you're looking to stretch the game. The other things we do is possession, as you've seen today, different areas of the pitch. Today we're doing like directional possession, which is what we do on a Saturday. We're trying to get to the other end of the pitch, but we need to keep possession, when and where to play forward. So it's more of a fluid coaching session. Yes, we do the stop, stand still, but we tend to try and get the lads to either do that in the warm-up if we're doing shape work, or we'll do it as a session where we say you need to get your hats, gloves, bottoms on, because it's going to be a little bit stop-start.
We weigh them once a week, we body fat test them, so you can tell if there's, it ain't so much if they're putting weight on, what we don't like to see is rises and falls. So i.e. if they're going out of £2 or £3 range where they're falling too high or going up and then coming down again, that's where we see a problem. But I think weight and diet for people nowadays is a dumb thing. I mean, again, without it, you know, the modern way with pasta and the like, I'm sure, you know, people like our players who train every day, they can have the odd meal which is I suppose a treat meal, you know what I mean, in terms of, you know, you say, oh, you can't have chips or something like that. I think that at the right time, on a Monday and you're playing on a Saturday, if you have a portion of chips with your meal, it ain't going to make a lot of difference. But certainly, again, going towards a game, you would taper down. I mean, in my day, you know, when I first started in 1982, I made my debut, you had a steak for pre-match, and then they tell you nowadays that steak takes, you know, 3 days to digest. So it's a total different regime, that's for sure.
The Vice President's Club is the proud sponsor of At Training. For more information, visit www.cufcvpclub.co.uk.